dark. It's so dark and scary. All right, here we are.
You can't get them quiet.
They're getting there.
They're
We got
getting
lights,
fading.
we got dimmed music, and here we are. And thank you all for being here. Welcome to Sunday morning, 11 a.m. here at Unity of Boulder. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us and joining with us, even though we're not here physically, we are here still spiritually, and that's probably the most important part anyway, sharing this time and space together with a like-minded goal of spiritual evolution.
And if you're tuning in, you can text your friends right now and let them know you're about to watch one of the services at Unity of Boulder. And it's going to be an amazing service. I saw the video that's going to be used at this service. Get your friends to watch it today. It's going to open your heart.
And the video is actually just the recording of my service last night, so
That's
it should
exactly
be a very
it.
powerful experience.
But we muted it, so don't worry. It's him doing mine.
It's pantomime. All right, so we do appreciate you watching us online, and now that you are watching us online, there is a share button on your screen that you can share this to Facebook or YouTube, to your page or your channel, so we can get this message out there, get more people watching and more people engaged in this process to spread this word far and wide. So we actually are getting far and wide. We did have an individual contact us from India that said he found us online, live streaming, and that was his first exposure to Unity, and now he's sort of following along in this process. So if he's watching with us, thank you for being with us. It's very exciting.
Right, so we are planning to open up and allow people to come into the sanctuary and share the services with us on May 31st. We'll have 2 services, and all 3 of us will be there to speak and share. Will be a lot of great music that you can join in. That will be at 9 and 11 o'clock. But no one will get in without a face mask. You're going to have to be wearing a face mask. You will be spaced 6 feet apart in the pews, and front and forward. There'll be 6 feet between you and the people sitting in front of you and behind you. And those pews will have been sprayed with this Clorox disinfectant, and they'll be sprayed after the first service as well. And the bathrooms will all be set up for the regulations that we are receiving from the CDC.
We'll also have a mobile shower station right outside the front door. We can hose everyone down as they come in. Isn't that the plan?
Exactly.
It's just a little fire hose we hit you as you come in. And
I thought that would have been a good idea even without the virus.
just the airlock you come into and you get the...
That's right, yeah.
No, but we do want to make it a beautiful, warm, and accepting and loving environment as you come in, but we do want to encourage, you can bring the masks you've made at home and the masks you've bought. It doesn't have to be specifically the white masks. But we will have to keep those masks on during the service. That's going to be part of the requirement, so we can't take them off at any point in time we're here. So we're going to try it out. We're going to go and get used to this new world we're living in, and hopefully as the restrictions get lifted more and more, we can get more open as well. Just trying to follow the guidelines that the governor is setting forth, and in the timeline that he's allowing us to do it, the appropriate amount of time to be safe.
Right, so right now we're scheduled to open on the 31st, but again, it may be subject to, if the governor decides to shut it down, we have to go along with it.
And there will be no youth for that service.
No youth, no Sunday school.
Yes, you could probably bring them into space with you. If they're old enough to be able to handle the service, they could sit with you in that area, but there will be no youth taking place downstairs yet. All
Okay.
right? Good.
All right.
Oh, one last thing. Don't forget we're doing fellowship after this service on Zoom. You can join us at about noon. If you do not have that information, just email us at info@unityofboulder.com right now, and we can get back to you with that information so you can log into Zoom and see us there. I really encourage you to write down notes that you hear during this talk so you can bring those questions and comments to that space and we can have conversations about that. All right. Thank you.
Good morning. Let us take this moment now for this prayer to focus our attention and open our minds and our hearts. Father, Mother, God, Spirit, thank you for the power of release. In this moment, we let go of fear, we let go of concerns, and And we know that this frees up and empowers the flow of Spirit in our lives. Thank you for the power of release. Father, Mother God, we are thankful for the power of love. We embrace this harmonizing energy of the universe, and we embrace the peace and healing that comes from this embrace. Thank you, God, for the power of love. Father, Mother God, we are also grateful for the power of understanding and from the deep wisdom that is available to us and within us to guide us and to enlighten us. Let us all just relax into these blessings. Indeed, let us all remember to call upon these blessings to show up powerfully in our lives and in the world. We are co-creators of this universe. Thank you, God, for all these and all your infinite blessings. And to this we say, Amen.
Good morning. Hopefully, if you know this song, sing along at home. I want to see if I can hear you. Sing out. Go ahead. You can get the next slide up, please, for me.
Morning, everyone. Nice to have you all joining us today here at Unity. We're very excited about opening up in a few weeks. We really hope that that ends up happening. So my talk title today is The Power of Awareness. And I've been speaking with many spiritual people about this time, and there's this common question of, because when we're on a spiritual path, we're always wondering why something is happening, not just moving with it and going, getting in fear with it, but we wonder, why is this pandemic happening? Like, what is the truth at the basis of it? What is it that Spirit wants us to learn as we go through this time of heightened stress and fear? And what part of it is true and what part of it is not true? And I think many of us are seeing that right now. There's so many more questions than answers. And these people that I've been sharing with, they've talked about how they have learned how to move through these questions, feeling the fear, feeling the worry, feeling the despair, and the uncertainty of these times. But they are encouraged by spiritual experiences they're having in their dreams, in messages in nature, in music, finding themselves surrendering into acceptance of the unknown. The world is sort of in a dark night of the soul. And together, we are all trying to figure out how to navigate this new territory. So I like this slide by Paul Ferrini, and it's talking about that shadow side. By bringing the light to the shadowy world, we are illuminating the shadowy world within us. By looking at our judgments and the wounds and reactive patterns behind them, we begin to see through the various veils and blocks to love within our own consciousness and the global consciousness. What we become aware of or bring the light to can no longer operate unconsciously. That is the power of awareness. By bringing the light to the shadowy world. Boy, are we seeing some shadows behavior coming from people right now. I don't know how many people are on Instagram or Facebook or these social media platforms. It's a big part of our job, so we're on there quite a bit. And it's like, in Colorado, if you're watching from other states, we just opened up, the first phase this last Monday. And now it's the fear of what are we supposed to do? Should we wear masks? Should we not be wearing masks? Should we be, congregating in public places or even in buildings? And there's kind of like a small war happening on Facebook right now where people are pointing fingers that if you don't do this, then you're irresponsible, and if you do this, then you're believing the government's taking over, and it's like unbelievable upsetness going on, and it's dividing people. And if there's anything about this dissension that we're feeling around all of this, is that we can't be doing this anymore. Pointing at others of how they should do things as far as our own consciousness says they should do it. If there's anything we should be doing, is finding the way to connect with one another as we are all navigating this, and understanding that there's always more love to be brought to any situation. Every situation has an opportunity for love to be birthed in it. Fear has countless faces. From the fear of failure to worries about everyday life, from financial or environmental uncertainties to the universal despair we all experience when faced by the loss of a friend or a loved one. Even when surrounded by all the conditions for happiness, life can feel incomplete when fear keeps us focused on the past, and a lot of us now worried about the future. We find our balance in this time right now. How do we find the balance? In the Bible, in Acts 2:17, it says, "In the last days, God says, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams. In the last days, God says, I will pour out my spirit on all people." And when you look at these words through the metaphysics, days and nights in Scripture are symbols describing degrees of unfoldment, night being ignorance, and day meaning understanding. So the last day actually comes down to the last degree of understanding. So if we really broke down this Bible passage, it would go more like this. In the unfoldment of your understanding as collaborator with God, God says, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your children will forecast the future. They will have visions for healed results. You older folks can relax and live in the dream born in your young visioners. This is a quote of hope. You know, the end days, you know, if there was any time that would ever look like we were in the end days, it would be right now. I mean, it is, if it's been under a rug, it has been surfaced, and we are just looking around us. I saw a really funny post yesterday that a woman posted, and she said, I believe it's thundering outside right now, but with the way everything is right now, it could be Godzilla walking down the street this time, which I just thought, it's so true. Like, we don't even trust, is that thunder? That's something we should be able to depend on. But our great philosophers, our great spiritual leaders that preceded us and still walk this planet with us, are saying that all of humanity is waking up from a three-dimensional polarity-based grip to five-dimensional energy that lives in the now. In the fifth dimension, you will learn to practice discernment, not judgment, no longer willing to compartmentalize information into good or bad or create comparisons. Looking for beauty everywhere, looking for it where you are, in nature, surprising yourself with newfound joy of the resonance of even this time. Matt Kahn says this about this time. These unprecedented times can certainly make it quite challenging for light workers, especially with so many of us still acclimating and adjusting to life in a higher vibrational altitude. The most recent Ascension update sees Mother Earth settling into alignment with 5D consciousness. While a significant percentage of Earth's inhabitants adjust to life at a higher frequency of consciousness, it is interesting to notice from the heart of compassion, a percentage of the world's population is just now learning how to function in the very climate of uncertainty many spiritual beings have spent years encountering through various healing processes and dark night of the souls individually. Equally so, while light workers have had a small taste of the collective they would help shift through the imprinting of their childhood and adolescent years, many light workers are still adjusting to a greater depth of presence as they embody a higher level of awareness, mindfulness, and heart-centeredness as anchors of Earth's ascension. And when I refer to light workers or light bearers, I'm not referring to me, Shad, Jack. I'm saying that all of you are light bearers. You know, one of the things my mom always says about our congregation is that there are no sheep in this center. It is all avatars. Unity is filled with avatars. That's why people are attracted to it. Because you are just supported. We put wind into the beauty of your own understanding. You already have an understanding of this great work. And so you are this light worker, and you've already been moving from the 3D to 4D, and might be sitting in 4D and up in 5 when you're meditating, right? But the collective humanity is now having it speed up where they have to meet that 5-dimensional level that Earth is settling in right now. It's a great call for people to grow in consciousness. And so if they're starting down at 2 or 3, they've got a big leap to go right now. And for us light bearers or light witnesses, we are the protectors and the lovers of them as we move them to this level that we've been visiting in meditation all along, and now we're moving out of the 4D to the 5D. And some of us are there. But we're feeling the inner anguish and we're feeling the inner stresses of this time because we are a collective whole. We are all one. And so as some are having to move much more, there's a lot more chaos in their lives. You know, there's a lot more chaos, there's a lot more fear, there's a lot of wondering and what if and all this crazy stuff. And we're all being caught into that. So for us, the light workers, we need to find that center in the storm so that we can be the anchors for others to be picking them up, to be supporting them, and trying to stay away from the finger pointing that I'm seeing collectively with people. Everybody's trying to find their way. What about accepting one another for our differences of opinions? Because it never said that we are supposed to love our brothers and sisters as long as they do it our way. We're supposed to love our brothers and sisters regardless. Ever since this pandemic started, at first I was waking up every night around 3 in the morning. I would just wake up and there was like no going back to sleep. There's nothing I could do. It was wrecking my days because by noon I was dragging through the day, fighting to keep my energy up. And it was frustrating, and I thought I was handling the whole change, and it was, the first 3 weeks of us all adjusting. So I looked up 3 or 4 a.m., and what does that mean as far as a spiritual reality? Between 3 and 4 a.m., the veil between the two worlds is thinning, allowing your spirit guides to better communicate messages with you. A spirit guide is a spirit on the other side who guide you towards your highest good. There is a message, a sign you're meant to see that during your waking hours you are not paying attention to. This is also a time where connection with your higher self, the divine you, is optimal. You may also be experiencing a spiritual awakening, and your guides are able to give you more information, more downloads, as they say, at this time than they are during the day. Because in the day, there's so much more noise, and there's so much more things distracting all of us. So finally, I overcame the 3 a.m. wake up. And it became a problem. Like for me, when I got out of that, then the next thing I knew, I was just tired, even though I wasn't waking up in the middle of the night. So that same tiredness that I was having in the daytime was still happening, but then I was sleeping full nights. And it was like, what is this feeling? And the other day, and with kids being home and homeschooling them and full-time jobs and dogs and taking care of life, being exhausted by 3 in the afternoon is just not optimal, and it just doesn't even work. And a few days ago, I said to Mike, I'm getting worried about the fact that I'm tired. Like, it's almost like nothing can fix it but a nap, and that's just not me, I've been doing my exercise, I'm taking my vitamins. What is going on with me? And so I woke up on Thursday, right after saying that to Mike the day before, to write my sermon, and I opened my email. And there was an email from a week before from a friend of mine, Felicia, and she said, I think you'll really enjoy this read. And I opened it up, and it was like, it's so interesting when you hit that wall, when you want an answer of what is going on, and right there is an email that I didn't read the week before, which I didn't need it then. I needed it that day, and this is what it said. This means many light workers are experiencing the ups and downs of empath fatigue, where the most simple human tasks create waves of exhaustion, and you just can't do as much as you normally would under these uncertain conditions. While some think self-quarantine or social distancing is to blame, it is actually a process of building up psychic endurance so your vibration can be so fully aware of its unlimited potency and power that it can effortlessly hold space for an entire planet without even having to think about it or micromanage it in any way. As you engage in the process of building your psychic endurance, It's normal to feel its effects as the opposite experience, which could include fatigue, emptiness, boredom, and exhaustion. How many people are feeling that way? Right? It was just profound that the timing, and I sent an email back. I said, I was sorry I didn't open this email sooner, and yet I just love spirit. And I love spirit, like that's a spirit guide saying, all right, now check your email, now open this, and then you get some answers. This is why you're feeling this way. So we're building our psychic endurance. So it's also a normal and really important time to work on our aura, to build our spiritual power and our presence. And there's many different things that you can do to help yourself set yourself up for success to get through this time. One of the things that I've been doing just recently, and I always used to do it, but I just kind of fell out of the pattern of doing it. After I come home, and I've done lots of counseling and things like that, I smudge myself with sage. And the first time that I did it, which the sign is if it gets really smoky really fast when you're about to do it, it means your aura needs that support. It needs that spiritual support. And I had Mike do it, and he lit it, and it looked like it was going to burn our house down. It was like a cloud that filled the room so instantaneously. I knew, wow, I was a lot of weeks past needing this smudging. I talked about a few weeks ago that I have crystals that I hold, that I carry in my purse, and I hold them for greater insight and greater knowledge. This is an amethyst. This is my best friend right here. This guy is extremely powerful. Essential oils, putting them on your nose. I use peace and calming, joy oil, thieves, Bach flower essences to keep you calm. See, Mother Earth has provided for us a natural avenue to keeping ourselves in vibrational peace and power. And yet many of us don't take advantage of all these wonderful things, and we think, oh, I'm in a deep depression, and so I gotta do something about that deep depression. But there's so many things to lift you, just to skew you 20% from an unhappy place. That 20% can just bring you to balance. And then before that, you know it's joy or it's greater love. So we come to the fifth dimension. There are hundreds of thousands of people living with this level of awareness now on Earth. I see it rising daily. When we've lifted our consciousness to the 5D level, we truly have a deep compassion for all living beings. When your awareness is operating in 5D, a lot of the 3D world becomes almost invisible to you. You may literally not see other people who are operating on a purely 3D level. It's why so many relationships shift and change once our awareness levels rise. And that's so true. As we're all evolving into the greater, more spiritual beings that we were meant to be, as this disruption that's going on right now is calling us to be, things fall away that no longer serve us. And things join our lives that are so much more important, like meditation, like hummingbirds, like elk walking across your yard, magic, dreams that are ethereal and special, and you know you've been witness of an angel sharing with you, right? You'll also find that what used to bother you about the 3D world becomes less of your focus, as instead you are firmly focused on leading your best life so that you can uplift the planet and all those you come into contact with. It's like you're on a mission. When you operate from the 5-dimensional level, you are dedicated, self-responsible, and ready to serve the whole. So when you look at this combating that's going on between people that are telling others how to be going through this, that's not a person that's on a mission. A mission is a peaceful co-creator with God. We set our standards by showing an example. Pointing fingers just makes people feel small, and that's not a spiritual virtue. by setting an example of love and peace and acceptance at this time, and understanding that people are going through really tough times, and being empathic and compassionate and loving to one another. That is what's being called as a virtue at this time. And because, I didn't want to put that on, hold on. And because I am a light worker, which this is just all of us, this is somebody else that's writing this, already aligned with the light, may I support the healing process of humanity in absolute accordance with the divine will of the Akashic records by acknowledging my experiences and feelings as gateways into greater psychic endurance. No matter what my ego insists, I accept I am building up my psychic endurance by holding space for a world awakening within me. By accepting this interpretation of experience, I allow my psychic endurance to increase while remaining naturally aligned and grounded in the wisdom of my soul's deepest truth. This is the ascension, and I'm helping to lead the way as part of the ascension's first wave. I have earned the right to be here just by the grace of being born, with nothing more to prove and only my purest light to shine. So when he refers to the Akashic records, what he's talking about is he's acknowledging that we have a divine connection with the records of life. That in our sleep states, or even in our meditative states, we can be divinely directed and guided to where we need to be, where we need to show up, where we need to heal, where we need to let go, where we need to accept, where we need to surrender, where we need to cry. When Edgar Cayce accessed the Akashic records of an individual, he had the ability to select the information that would be of the most help to that person at that particular time in his or her life. Well, in this ascension, we shouldn't need an Edgar Cayce anymore. The whole point right now is to become that seer, to know thyself. So it's like that wisdom comes through us. We don't have to seek outside ourselves for the information for that which God is being called for our own individual life and for the collective. So to be able to access these Akashic records and to be given divine guidance and moving away from the material world and recognizing the spiritual realms that are becoming more and more alive in the midst of us. When discussing the Book of Life, Cayce stated that it was the record of God, of thee thy soul within, and the knowledge of same. When asked the difference between the Book of Life and the Akashic records, he was saying to us, this is a time to practice our spiritual faith, practice our spiritual experience, and if anything, to feel like a great example of the process of awakening is the birth. We are in a birth of a new earth. And we are in a death of the old limited consciousness that was destroying this planet, that said that that compass of truth and lying got blurry, where we started to wonder, where did all the beauty go as far as looking into people's eyes, into people's truth? There's a cleaning out and there's a birthing happening. There's a cleaning out and there's a death happening. And both are two of the most beautiful experiences we have ever experienced. And I want to share this video by Dr. Zach Bush. It's an interview that my brother Del gave on his show Highwire on YouTube. It's just a little snippet of it, but we'll put the whole interview on our website, unityofboulder.com.
That you will not block public gatherings. You will not block the ability for us to get together and practice our spiritual faith, to practice our spiritual experience. And if anything is a hallowed ground of spiritual environment, it is the birthplace of a child and the birthplace of an elder person about to transition to the other side. There are two births that happen to humankind, and the first, of course, must be extraordinary. If we could remember it all, how amazing would it have been? When you are in the womb of your mother, you can hear sounds muffled, and you can hear the voice of your family members. You can hear the bark of a dog. You can hear the closing of a door. It's muffled, but you can hear it. You can see the light filtering through in the morning through the skin of your mother's belly and through the wall of the womb. You can see these transitions of shadows moving by. You can see this beautiful world, and it's all in red hues. It's reds and oranges, like an eternal sunset happening around you. And then there's peaceful darkness in the night, and it's silent, and you've got your mother's heartbeat right next to you, and you've got this extraordinary holy of holies, this protected space that you're in. Then suddenly, at the end of 9 months, your entire human existence so far only knows this space. You have this catastrophic event where intense pressure is put on you, and you're being covered in microbes as you go down this, and your immune system has never seen this. Your whole body has never seen this whole body of life that's coating you, and you're in this transit of dark tunnel and compression. Your heart rate is 180 and pushing 250 at moments because you are in this intense physiologic pressure state, and you think you are dying. I think that must pass the tissue level's possibilities. I think I'm dying because the light is gone, and all I hear is crushing pressure, and all I'm experiencing is, and then suddenly you're in the light, all the pressure is gone, and you can't believe the beauty around you. The face of your mother is mind-boggling. There's 1,000 colors in just the iris of her eye that's looking in your face. And you're staring at that for a second, and then there's this like halo of light and color from this explosion of filaments out of your mother's head that we call hair, and it's creating these rainbows of color. And so all you can do is stare above your mother's hair and look at that for a while. And then suddenly there's this extraordinary, scene as it unfolds of greens and blues and your first sunset. You can't believe how beautiful the world is. And then we go through a forgetting of the magic that we are alive right now. And we forget that we are in an exquisite miracle of beauty every day. And we are dumbed down to an existence of drywall box with no microbiome diversity into an off-gassing plastic car that off-gasses cyanide and micro toxins into the environment. And we show up in an office building in carpeted cubicles that off-gas carcinogens all day long, and then we go to a grocery store and pick up a bunch of food that was treated with carcinogens before it was harvested, and then we go home and we sit around blue light devices that reset our and screw up our circadian rhythms, and we get depressed and we get disconnected. And then we go through this extraordinary event, and suddenly there's darkness in an ICU, and your eyesight is failing, and you're starting to see things through the glass darkly again, and you see shadows, and you see this, and there's an intense sense of pressure as your body starts to collapse in on itself. You can't breathe, your heart rate's failing, everything's starting to go, and then you go into this dark tunnel. You can hear voices perhaps, and you have this overwhelming sense of biology is being crushed into oblivion right now. And then you come out the other side, and it's more beautiful and more bright than you could have ever imagined. And then suddenly that doctor resuscitates you and pulls you back into the body. And you tell that doctor, it's so much prettier on the other side. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rebirth. I just found out that I'm fully accepted on the other side. I'm a beautiful creature of light energy, and I am excited to be there. The danger that we have right now is not a virus. The danger that we have right now is that we have sterilized ourselves from death. We have created sterility around the death moment, which is ultimately our reason we're here. We are here for a transformative experience where we find out we are not biologic, we are spiritual beings. We are light beings. We are spiritual beings trapped in a biologic shell for a moment.
We are spiritual beings, is what he's saying. And earlier in the interview, he talks about because we're spiritual beings, we have to be moving in and through each other's lives. And this physical separation is not good for the spiritual being. And obviously we have to take our precautions, and I'm not saying not to wear masks, and I'm not saying whatever, the protocols that we're supposed to be doing. But somehow we have to find how we can still worship together, how we can still sing together, how we can still bring about time together where we are in essentially moving in and through each other, because that's how we stay in joy and peace and love, because we are all one. And when we're all separated, we start to go down a rabbit hole that is not positive, and it's not healthy. So it's starting to think about this 5D level. See, the 5D level is like when you're in meditation and you finally get to that high level where, if you've ever gotten to it, there's a sense of being part of the vibration and the heartbeat of everything. And there is no physicality anymore. There is no connection to what the day's responsibility is anymore. There's a sense of just being part of the wave, the part of the wave of sound and light, and a all-around unbelievable feeling of well-being. And if you've ever experienced that in meditation, you just want to be there all the time. And the goal of 5D is to be living in that even when we're not meditating, to be that ripple of that energy. And you can tell when you're in a state like that. When I sit out on my porch, I meditate out there a lot right now because I have beautiful flowers planted, and I have my hummingbird feeder right here, and I have bird feed over here, so I've just got birds and animals. And usually when I come out, they all scatter, even though I talk to them and I sing to them. But then when I sit in that meditative state, I can tell when I'm getting to the state where I've let go of my wants, needs, my ego, my thoughts about coronavirus, my stresses about whatever's going on, and I become a part of this wave. The birds start to land. They start to surround me. They start to eat. I get to hear the buzzing of those hummingbirds around my head where they get so close, and then they start to sing. And I realized in that moment, I've never heard them sing this so harmonically together. And I realized that they are this resonance, and we are one with each other. In their music, they're expressing where I am vibrationally. And then all of a sudden, the day comes back to me, and I start to think about all that I have to do and all the counseling sessions I have, and all of a sudden, I realize there's a change in the sound. They're no longer singing, because I've just come out of the 5-dimensional level down to the 3 or 4, where I'm operating in the outer world and forgetting that I am spiritual. I'm a spiritual being first. And play with this. I encourage you to play with this, because when you have this experience where you realize you are those birds and the birds are you, you realize how much power you have as a spiritual being to bring about the changes we want to see in this world. Like he's saying, he's showing the farming, he's showing the pesticides, he's showing the plastic places we're working, all of it, all of the destruction, all the things that we're bringing, all the synthetic stuff into our bodies. And this is the time we have to see a change of all those things. It's not just about the coronavirus. The coronavirus is making us stop and take a thought process, a feeling process, and the spiritual thinking into, what do I want to see for this world and for this planet? What do I want my children and my children's grandchildren to have on this planet? What am I willing to sacrifice to make 7 generations be able to survive here? You realize how much we can get rid of through this time of being alone and being in quarantine and not being able to go shopping and, get the shopping therapy and buy things that make us feel happy for a minute, and then you realize it was fleeting. we didn't have the opportunity to use those things to get through this process. And we're still breathing. And we're still functioning. So what is it that we can let go of? So this week, my daughter Katya, I got a phone call from her school, and she's in homeschooling right now. And this man said, I just wanted to call you and talk to you about Katya. And I said, okay. He said, she is the student of the week out of hundreds of kids. She's been the most self-motivated. She's done all of her schoolwork. She's done it with flying colors. And we just wanted to call and congratulate you as a parent that you are supporting her doing this homeschooling process. And I've not heard anything of this. And I said, I can't take those kudos. This little girl is the most self-motivated person as far as academics go, which is so nice because Arenya and Tyler are not, they're wonderful kids, but they are not as motivated. So it was like, thank goodness, my baby is going to be easier to get through high school and college and stuff. But he said, I sent you a poem that she wrote that her English teacher thought you should really read, and I want to share this with you. The poem's called, What Does the Tree Want? I give you air. I give you life. What do I get? I'm glad you asked. I get science experiments done on me. I get cut down for an unknown reason. And I have people pulling my leaves off. That's what I get. What am I here for if this is what my life consists of? I'm here for the animals to live, for the people to breathe. I'm here for the scenery. I'm here for people's joy of looking at me and people saying what a beautiful world we live in. I am not here for the axe that cuts me down for paper. And I hope that the beautiful world that some people think of when they see me will one day be a reality. And obviously that touched me, just to see that she's writing things like this while she's doing her own schoolwork and hasn't even shared this with me. But this is what really touched me. My kids go to public school. I was raised in Waldorf and homeschooling. But listen to this response from this teacher to Katya. Katya, every time you share your writing, I'm reminded how perceptive you are and how you see the world through such empathic and critical eyes. I think as an adult, you are going to effect so much positive change in the world. As a preteen, you already are. I know that is not a direct response to your writing. I think it's important for me to say, I hope you always maintain this attitude and grow and evolve. I don't know why that touches me so much, but I was raised to think, public school, none of these teachers have consciousness. Clearly, this beautiful teacher, which he is a young teacher, he's about 25, and I felt such a presence in him, and obviously writing, language arts was my favorite class, we're from a family of writers, but that she's being met by spirit in her sharing about the environment. And these are the things that are on kids' minds. So why don't we push ourselves to go from 4-dimensional to 5-dimensional where we are the ripple? We are the conduit for God's love, God's healing, God's light. Trusting that everything is in divine order. And we are the protectors of all the things that bring life to this planet. We are the hands, we are the feet, we are the words, we are the heart of God. And we give thanks to God for this opportunity to be your avatar. We'll take an offering for unity now.
Thank you, Syntysche, for that beautiful message. Very heartfelt and timely. So we do like to remind you here at Unity of Boulder that your offering is not just to keep the doors open, keep people paid and employed, but to invest in the kind of world you want to see and the kind of world Syntysche was talking about. A more spiritually evolved and awakened world starts by us making more spiritually involved investments with our choices. So that's what we do right now, is we invest in the kind of world we want to see. We invest in this spiritual space that's affecting the lives of you and those around you and those in this community and around the world as we're live streaming and reaching further and further out into the world. So we graciously welcome your gifts. We have many ways to give. We have the text to tithe. You can hit the donate button on your screen. Wherever you're watching, there is a donate button, either scrolling down or scrolling up to find that. You can call the office and actually set up recurring donations. This really helps us budget throughout the year to have those consistent donations coming in. And of course, the Easy Tithe app, my favorite way of going about it, so I can track my own giving and adjust it accordingly. When I have an unexpected income come in, I can add to that donation right there. And we're still accepting cash and checks by mail. You can send those in. We love those as well. So why don't we take our offering, whatever it is, assuming it is digital at this point, or if it's going to be physical, let's bless it with this offering statement, if you'll say it with me no matter where you are. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive because I give. Thank you.
You are my forever love. 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 You are my forever. My forever love, you are my forever love. From the bottom of my heart I'll sing to you. From the depths of who I am, I love you. With everything inside I will run to you, 'cause all that I've become I my forever love. You are my forever love. You are my forever love. You are my forever love. From the bottom of my heart I'll sing to you. From the depths of who I am, I everything inside I'll run to you, 'cause all that I've become I owe to you. You are my forever love. You are my forever love. You are my forever love. You are my forever. Separate us. I will love you more than anything on earth. Nothing I desire could ever satisfy me the way that you do. Depths of who I am, I love you. With everything inside, I'll run to you, 'cause all that I've become, I owe to you. You are my forever love. You are my forever love. You are my forever love.
Well, thank you for that beautiful music, Erna and band. And now we'll all rise. Everybody, stand up and we'll sing I Release and I Let Go. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life.
And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Thank you for joining us.
Organizer. What?